When should you push hanging pawns? Have you ever wondered when it is the right time to push those hanging pawns in chess? Hanging pawns can be tricky, but knowing when to advance them can make a big difference in your game. Let's break it down. Hanging pawns are to pawns on adjacent files that do not have support from other pawns. You often find them in the center of the board, like on the D and C files or the D and E files. They can be both a strength and a weakness. One of the main strengths of hanging pawns is their ability to control important central squares. This control can create strong outposts for your pieces, especially knights or bishops. Additionally, pushing these pawns can open lines for your rooks or bishops, which can lead to powerful attacks or better defense. However, these pawns can also be vulnerable. Since they lack support from other pawns, they can be targeted easily. If you push them without a plan, you might create weaknesses that your opponent can exploit. So, when should you consider pushing hanging pawns? First, think about creating open lines. If moving a hanging pawn can open a file for your rook or bishop, it might be a good idea. This can help you launch an attack or support a piece that needs to move along that file. Next, consider improving your piece development. If pushing a hanging pawn allows your pieces to coordinate better, it could be a smart move. For instance, if a bishop is stuck behind a pawn, moving that pawn can free up the bishop for action. Another reason to push hanging pawns is if it creates a passed pawn. A passed pawn is one that has no opposing pawn on the same file. These pawns are more likely to reach the opponent's end of the board and promote, which can be a game changer. Lastly, pushing a hanging pawn can create counterplay. This might distract your opponent and force them to respond, relieving pressure on other parts of the board. Before you push those pawns, assess the overall position. Make sure that the move aligns with your strategic goals. Think about whether it will improve your piece activity or create weaknesses for your opponent to exploit. Also, anticipate how your opponent might react. If they can easily attack or exchange your hanging pawn, it might not be worth it unless it leads to a stronger position elsewhere. Finally, consider the long-term consequences. If pushing a hanging pawn leads to an isolated or backward pawn, it might not be the best choice unless it serves a greater purpose in your strategy. In the middle game, pushing hanging pawns should fit into a larger plan that includes piece development, control of key squares, and potential counterplay. Weigh the benefits against the risks to ensure that your move supports your overall game plan.